Dennis, we had a number of questions come in before the program, actually, in anticipation for this. Why don't you go ahead and we'll try to answer some.
I think this is one that's kind of foundational. Jonathan, I've always wanted to hear a leader address this issue. If Hadrian invented the name Palestine in 135 AD to obliterate the memory of the land and the God of Israel from history, and to claim that the Philistines had not been defeated by Israel as the Bible states, why do Bible translators use the name Palestine in our Bibles and on our Bible maps?
Well, that's a fantastic question, and I'm really glad it was asked, and let me try to answer it. First of all, Bible commentators or maps that are earlier than 1948 legitimately refer to the region as Palestine because it was called Mandate Palestine under British rule. It was also called Palestine under the Ottoman rule, under Turkish rule, which was a Muslim rule of this region. And neither the Muslims nor the British wanted this to be a Jewish homeland at that time. However, post-1948, to refer to the State of Israel, which was, first of all, declared the Jewish homeland by the UN, Resolution UN 181, 1947, 33 to 13, and by the declared autonomy of the Jewish people, is simply anti-Semitism. I'll be that strong. It's anti-Semitism on the part of Bible translators, those that are making the maps. That is just simply wrong. And there's actually some globes that label the recognized State of Israel as Palestine. This is just all-out anti-Zionism, anti-Semitism. This is the State of Israel, the independent, autonomous State of Israel. And to refer to this region as Palestine since 1948 is simply wrong. I'm so glad you asked the question. Yes, this was an attempt, beginning with Hadrian, to wipe this land away or to erase the history, the clear history of this land being mandated to the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Dennis?
There's another question which I think is really fascinating because it brings up, I think, some real confusion that exists in the body of Christ, and that is, my pastor said Israel may be dispersed again. Are there any Bible passages that clearly identify this restoration as the restoration from which God will never again scatter Israel?
I'm so glad that question was asked also, because this idea of Israel being banished again or cast out of the land is something that reared its ugly head up again in about 15 years ago.
I heard about it.
And there were actually Jewish believers teaching this, very sadly. But yes, the answer is yes. There are definitive scriptures that clearly state that this is a final gathering of the Jewish people. And one that comes to mind immediately, although there's many, is Isaiah chapter 11. In verse 11, in fact, and Ron, I opened the Bible immediately to Isaiah.
Awesome.
Let me read this to you in verse 11. It says, "And the Lord, it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathos, from Cush, and the islands of the sea." Hamath, he names them. "And he'll set up an ensign for the nations, so assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." And this brings us into eventually the millennial reign, the reign of Messiah, who returns to Jerusalem, not to any other world capital, but physically to Jerusalem, the same place he left from, exact spot, I believe. And this second restoration is the final restoration. Number one, the return from the Babylonian captivity, and number two, the return of the Jewish people in the years that followed 1948. And you also have Ezekiel 37 and 38. You have numerous passages that make it clear that this is the final ingathering of the Jewish people, and they will not be cast out of the land again.
Where did they get that idea of the second of it happening again?
Well,
Are there scriptures
no, and I've challenged people that believe that, because the Jewish people, unless they accept Yeshua, according to some, have no claim to the land, but the land is a promise that God makes to Abraham, and it's because of God's faithfulness.
Yeah.
It's not based on the obedience of the children of Israel. Right. Now, I will say, Rana, that the children of Israel can inherit the land and live in peace outside of covenant with God, but the Abrahamic covenant is still in effect today, which promises them the land, which promises them which promises the gathering back to the land, and ultimately from the land, the Spirit of God will be poured out upon them, and they will recognize the one that they have pierced and will cry out to him, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." So I can't give you scriptural support at all, because there is none.
Yeah,
there just simply is none.
That's good news.